Ladies and gentlemen, hello everyone. I am a professor of the School of Marxism at the University of Electrical Science and Technology of China. I am very pleased to have the opportunity to communicate with colleagues from various countries on the issue of ideological and political teaching in the context of Chinese culture and the construction of college students. Ideal brain mechanism. 你看看，那怎么不又？哦，这就读完了。Research on the construction of ideal brain network of college students in the teaching of ideology, morality, and the rule of law and the Chinese cultural background. Get logic. 1. Research and design the flow. 4. Picture of ideal brain mechanism data. Typical mechanism and analysis. 3. Neuroscience analyze framework. 1. Research and design. The first is ideal theoretical definition and operation definition. Ideal is a kind of separate phenomenon peculiar to human beings. It is a form in practice possible to achieve the beautiful yearning for coming to society and the pursuit of happiness in life. Operation definition of ideal 4 dimensions. The first quadrant, the second quadrant, the third quadrant, the fourth quadrant. Good yearning, impossibility, possibility, by the yearning, good yearning. May come to good yearning may be realized not good yearning. Impossible to achieve not good yearning. Impossible to achieve good yearning. 24 sentences. I hope to contribute to the rapid development of the national industry. The second quality may be realized not good yearning. Impossible to achieve not good yearning. I really want to be grateful with and pleasure and indulge in enjoyment. I want in finishing in a field of research. This happens at least 24 sentences. The postgraduate entrance examination for college students is the trend of month. Secondly, the time number of groups and the total number of people before and after research of this project. The project is carried out in two universities, University of Electric Science and Technology of the China and the Chengdu Institute of the Technology, C Type 1 for detention. University UECSTC setting. Experiment group pre-test, post-test. Comparison group pre-test, post-test. Control group pre-test, post-test. 2030, 2060, 2017, 2021, 30, 30, 30, 13.3, 2, 318.8. Third, this project research use contemporary the advanced tool, software and method. Atom of tools, 3T nuclear magnetic resource instrument for gene motor. Computation of the United States was used. In terms of software, employee software, SPM8 software, SPSS software. The use of this software ensures the accuracy of the data acquisition and the disclosure of the relevant rules. In terms of the method, scale method, experiments method, iterative method, quality method. Fourth, SPM8 confidence level P value setting. The confidence P value of this project research is set at 0.001. Two, the full picture of ideal brain mechanism data, typical mechanism and analysis. First, the overall picture of the ideal result. To university 4 iterations in 8 years. 9 groups, 4 pre-test, 9 post-test, 4 dimensions of approval and disapproval, and total 108 activation units are combined as shown in tab 2 among 108 activity units. 29 units were achieved, account for 26.185%. Among them, 5 were tested before and 24 were tested afterwards. In the 24 post-test, 70 units extracted more than 6 brain area beta value units, and these 50 units made structural equation. Type 2 summary of the frequency of the activity of brain region in 2 schools. 3 year, 3 group, before and after test. 4 dimensions and 2 attitude. Data attitude. Possible, good, yeah. Approve, disapprove. Impossible, good, yeah. Approve, disapprove. It's C. Post 16, post 8. Reader number. Structure equation 35. In this meeting of only the 27 experiment group may be a good for the post-test. The 2060 experiment group may be good for the post-test. The 27 control group may be a good for the post-test. The 23 experience group may not be good against the post-test, and the 2070 control group may not be good. Introduce the research result in favor of the post. Second, the pre-test result of this research 有没有？没有吧？Third, part of the post test the result of the research. Legend. The dimension is represented by a back rectangular coordinate system composed of the possible and impossible bases and beautiful and undesirable ordinate. A fair attitude are shown in green, and the disapproval attitude are shown in the dark red. The experiment group and the year are shown in red. The group control group and the year are shown in purple. The control group and the year are shown in the blue. They are sets of the myriad data of ideal brain mechanism composed of the 4 dimensions, 2 attitude, 3 group, and 4 year, which with different manifesting of the role of the laws of knowledge, affection, intention, faith, and behavior. Each fan shape tension, attitude of the brain mechanism, the interlayer and the extrinsic composed of circuits and sectors are the endogenous and exogenous latent variable of the structure equation of brain activity extraction data. The Chinese calculates ideals the characteristic of the endogenous and the endogenous latent variables. The identification variable of the endogenous and exogenous latent variable marked by the course of the update numbers, English letters, and sequential number of the each fan in hatching. Brain area the appearance ones. One organ on the arm. Then brain arm let appear twins from the midward attitude. Brain area let appear for 10. Brain area at appears 3. 3 at 4 alpha, beta, gamma. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. Neuroscience analysis framework. The analysis framework consists of the single activation brain area analysis, multi-brain area structure equation analysis, and the brain theory analysis based on the structure equation. Think active brain area analysis is to show which brain area are activity in one dimension. Find the brain area when the number of focus is greater than 20 and predict the basic situation of one dimension active of the brain area. Not brain the structure equation analysis is to extract the beta value of the activity brain area when the volume peaks greater than the 20 and do the later variable analysis of the brain area. The construction of ideal brain network of college students is graduate formed over a long period of time under action of the multiple factors, such as innate influence, education and teaching, environment influence, and personal choice. The situation before the class is the starting point, and the situation after the 14-2-hours teaching is the end. Since they are compared between the experiment group, the control group, and the control group, the teaching effect of the experiment group can be compared. The analysis of the brain theory is based on the structure equations, where the generalized and propose new series of the equation and the systematic comparison of this project. First, single activation brain area analysis. In 2023, the experiment group brain map of the post-test with a possible attitude toward the possible beautiful dimension is shown in Figure 1. The name of the number of active brain focused greater than 20 are shown in Table 3, and the statistical results are shown in the Figure 2. Figure 3 shows the structure equation for extracting beta value from the brain region in the table 3. 这个图 Table 3 name of brain region active bed of the group in 23 let subjects in the experiment group have a possibility attitude towards possible beautiful dimension. English name, front, top, middle, wax lump. The post-test brain map of the experiments group of the pressure in 23 on the possible beautiful dimension and the sub. Sixth, multi-brain structure equation analysis based on the post-test result of the experiment. Group in 23 on the possible beautiful dimension and in 5. Extract the beta value that active the value of the brain area greater than 20 and do the structure equation analysis of the brain area. And the following results are obtained. The post-confection with the red dot is the significant at the p-value of 0.05. Structure equations are an effective way to refer the correction to costing of ideal brain neural network data. The 5 implicit in Figure 3 represent the 5 latent variables. Each adipose contains more than 3 brain regions. Rectangular box on adipose reflect the function of a group of brain regions. Learning where the goals, post-date, temporal are. Purpose give face. Energy give level. Face gives courage. Insistence give energy. Singular post present. Third, the analysis of brain theory based on the structure equation. The analysis of the brain theory based on the structure equation is based on the following 77 days and 42 class hours of teacher, which gave the students to construct 5 tables of latent variables: cognition, emotion, belief, and practice brain network for analysis. The number 1 phi of the latent variable representation, cognition, emotion, we believe and practice respectively, established carry out of link of processing brain mechanism analysis. The brain's construction of ideas, which is a social belief, is greatly unique, accumulated during the teaching of a course. This brain theoretical analysis is based on the systematic comparison of the four dimensions, two attitudes, three groups, and 50 structure equation obtained in the four interactions of the student from 23 to the 2021. The first five rows in the following table are the expressions of these five aspects. The content in the table are the number of the latent variable, the name of the brain area, and the processing characteristics of the brain area. Because the way the brain processes consciousness is channeling and parallelism. A certain latent variable is the main part of each processing stage, and other latent variables perceived, which constitutes the dialectical until of the primary latent variable and the auxiliary latent variable. In Table 1, they are 7 brain regions involved in the 50th structure equation. The 7 brain regions appear once, such as caudate, RAM, ET, and some appear 7 times, such as occipital middle of AL at AC. Total number of the ocean islands of brain region is 14 times, and there are 26 latent variable 1 that appear in the cognitive link, accounting for 13.5%. They are four characteristics of the brain mechanism in cognitive brain area. One is reward, direction, and memory. The second is emotion and value. And the third is vision and processing. The fourth is language, semantics, and grammar. The fifth thing is creation, and memory. See Table 1 for this. Table 1, brain mechanics of the cognitive region. Dimension may be beauty, may not be good, impossible, unfavorable, affairs, impossible beauty, attitudes in favor of, be applause in favor of, attitude, favor of, be operated to in favor of. group experiments, control, comparing, experiments, control, compare, code. Serial number 1, 2, 3, 50. Yeah, 0, 3, 0, 60, 0, 21, 0, 21. 1. Cognitive fate. 2. Emotion. 3. Winning pairs. 4. Fair belief. 5. Creation of reward direction memory. Core date are singularate. It can be seen from Table 1 that in the cognitive state experiment group may green that the brain regions that are active are reward, direction, and memory brain regions such as cater data are singular and singular and the other group in the rest of the dimension are most emotion, responsibility, vision, language, value, and other brain. Value, strategy, great. There are 5 characteristics of the brain mechanism of the emotion brain area. One is to reward sprint and happiness. The second is the emotion and personality. The third is vision, knowledge, and value. The fourth is strategy and citation. See Table 2 for citation. Table 2, brain mechanics of the emotion. Brain may be built, may not be good, impossible attitude. 1, 2, 3, 15, 0, 20, 30, yes, 20, 0, 20, 21. 1, congratulation. 2, affection. Bring the happiness. It can be seen from Table 1. 这刚才已经读过了。The lead group in rest of the dimension are most brain area, such as language, symphony, and grammar, such as broad area 7. It can be seen from Table 3 that in the finishing stage, the experiment group may agree that the brain regions that are activity are emotion, and the direction brain region, such as frontal orb, from the middle orb. The other group in the rest of dimension are mostly brain areas, such as material value, such as frontal support. There are three characteristics of the brain mechanics of the beneath brain area. One is matter. The second is phase and sympathetic recognition. The third is the conflict of the idea. See the upper part of the table 4.3 for detail. There are three characteristics of the brain mechanism in the practice of the brain area. One is word and analyze. The second is physical experience. The third is to resist the material desire. The third is decision making and command. See the rule part of table for detail. Brain became of the area. Patient brain of area. Thanks for listening. 赶紧接过去，多长时间？正好1个小时。
My research topic, a research on the mechanism of excellent ideal brief of learning records of fiction, driving out laziness and maintaining. One purpose: to explore the relationship between the teaching method of ideal brief education chain in colleges and universities and the mechanism to promote college students to establish excellent retaining laziness and constructing ideal brief of learning memory, sentiment, retaining laziness, and holding constructing rootedness. 2. Master. Student volunteers after received once the matter of education of special education chain teaching method were recorded as the experimental group. Subjects were tested by brain functional mechanical response in imaging, will answer questionnaires, and brain activity information data were collected from subjects immediately, and then SPM8 was used to analyze brain function information data, and neither four-factor analysis to create the structure equations to verify the extent the mechanism of learning memory, sentiment, retaining inertia, and holding construction rooted in the ideal brief of spanning, inertia, and constructing. 3. Results. Experiment groups brain air activation status vastly greater than 20 number. Activity bring air information. According to the characters, nature, thematicals, and other related contents expressed in the content of skill items in the experiment. The corresponding interpretation of the activated brain areas in this experiment. Then, the properties of the different activated brain areas in the experimental group can be classified as material, conflict, emotional, semantical properties, ethical, indication they through received education. The activated brain areas of college students formed the corresponding brain network structural mechanisms. The generalization of the questionnaire on the basis of activated brain areas led to the following map of the structure mechanisms of brain networks. It can be replicated from the direct brain network structure mechanisms that teaching through the spatial education teaching method will form activation states in the corresponding brain area of the college student in the pair possible good dimensions. Thus, forming corresponding good dimensions, thus form the corresponding brain networks structure mechanisms and promoting the cultivate idea briefs the college students in excellent drive insert construction. The structure equity analysis was performed using the SPM8 to extract activated brain regions and result to obtain the following structure equations. From the structure equations model, we can get the following information. The learning of idle-to-long memory is significant associated with the practice of repeatedness and courage, and the will natural presences and emotion is significantly associated with the practice of repeatedness and courage, and the practice of holding the truth. There is a certain inverse effect of learning the idle-long memory on the practice of repeatedness and courage, which indicated that the college students in the experimental group think that after learning the idle-long memory, they lack the impulse to practice repeatedness and courage. However, it has a facilitating effect on holding the truth and building careers, which shows that the college student in the experiment group think that they can hold true and build careers after learning the idle-long memory. The fact that the students in the experimental group fully realized the cultivate vision of the emotion and will and promoted the implementation of the practice of repenting readiness and courage and the construction of truth. Concluding, the questionnaire survey of the experiment groups was conducted at the same time with the BrainMechanisms research imagine data information collecting, comprehensive analysis of brain information data and questionnaire results. It can be clear obtained that the ideal brief education for college students through the teaching method of the combined theoretical teaching and practical teaching can make college students cultivate the ideal brief of excellent listening, inner tier, and holding construction. Therefore, the corresponding education chain teaching method should be formulated and applied to ideal brief teaching on the basis of the full understanding of the formulation of the learning memory, sentimentation, repetitive and holding construction routine mechanism of the ideal belief of excellent repetitive and construction. In order to cultivate the ideal belief of excellent repetitive and construction of college students, and to make college students internalize the excellent idea belief in their heart and externalize it in their actions, creates visible education and teaching chain system, including theoretical teaching chain, practical teaching chain, and management teaching chain. Theoretical teaching chain is to review the best connotation of the theoretical teaching chain by the sequence of given ideas and the great innovative contents and the current discussing and stimulating thoughts and the touch, writing and speaking to promote the learning, revealing and narrating as a grade, and three accumulating as the encouragement. Theories in the theoretical teaching chain should be realistic, though raw and shallow, so that they can be recognized and integrated by college students. Practical teaching chain is in the order of observation, listening, visiting, acting, helping, thinking. Through the wisdom of the practical teaching base, the sublimation of students' thoughts and the transformation of their understanding are completed. Theory come from practice and great practice. So theory is supplemented by practice, and practice verify theory. which can convince and internalize college students. The management teaching chain includes attendance, formation, homework training, midterm supervision, activity reinforcement, and language relative high and low. To complete the examination of effectiveness of cultivating students' ideal brains benefits with order to teaching management on the basis of the theory and practice. Reasonable management measures can make college students cultivation of excellent ideal briefs benefits more effective. My team members, University of Electronic Science and Technology of China, and Chengdu Institute of the Technology. Thanks.
And gentlemen, I'm a student of UESTC. My topic is perception, conflict, truth, and the confirmation of the mechanism of curvature of the idea of lack of affection and lack of intention in the control group to be aware in 2017. First, I will reduce some background. My subject is a control group. Lisa Hart argues that teaching without understanding how the brain learns is like designing gloves without knowing what the hands look like. Benta argues that the more synchronized the teacher-student and student-student brain activity in the classroom, the more engaged students are in the classroom, the better the teacher-student relationship, the better the students' learning. And the teacher-student relationship affects the development of individual cognition, beliefs, and so on. This means that the teacher's teaching, such as the teaching methods, materials, and curriculum organization, are based on the founding of brain and learning science rather than the summaries of past traditional teaching experiences, and will enhance and improve students' learning outcome. The control group, our control group was mainly a traditional teaching experience, and the teacher's design of instruction was not based on the development laws of the brain. In the control group, the general education course is a traditional general education teaching method, where theoretical knowledge is mainly instilled, and the teacher-student relationship has a certain degree of interaction and communication, but it is mostly based on one-way input from the teacher, and the teaching method is mainly traditional theoretical teaching. In contrast, after the teaching of general study in the control group, are the students' original idea belief not changing, and do they generate new idea belief? The study focused on applying the influence of traditional liberal study teaching on the formation of idea beliefs. Second, we found some results. You can look at these three pictures. One is a corner picture. Second is a transversal picture. Third is sector pictures. After the results, we were in some discussion. We found the structure equation model of the formation mechanism of cognition, conflict, truth, and confirmation of social ideas of conventional teaching in the control group in the 2017. First, influence on the idea cognition of students. The influence of idea cognition in college students when performing idea cognition students perform primary sensory processing by recalling and matching the content of instruction, assessing some meaning to them. Brodmann 41 is part of the auditory system, and Lisa's model proposes a utivative associative dichotomy in which the recognition of sensory phenomena consists of two stages. In perception, the brain constructs an auditory signal and assigns meaning to that structure by matching it to superior memory. These students' middle superior front gross left activation is obverse when they are cognizing their idea beliefs, and the middle super front left is mainly a kind of process of self-cognition and is not influenced by either social cognitive processing. Therefore, to a certain extent, the traditional teaching model doesn't have a great influence on the students' idea beliefs, and the students are still mainly in the process of self-processing when they are cognizing their ideas. Second, dealing with students' idea conflicts. When traditional teaching affects their own idea beliefs, and the idea beliefs dominated by teaching are different from their own, the left signals activity significantly. That is, there is some cognitive inhabitation of the exciting teacher-led idea beliefs in the original idea beliefs. Mark J. proposed that the signals is considered to be related to response inhabitation. The Anglo-Grace deals with the conflict between teacher-dominated idea beliefs and one's own idea beliefs by mainly retrieving the recall of one's own already exciting idea beliefs. And this recall is dominated by self-reference and subjective recall, and it's not known whether the student will experience a shift in idea beliefs. Yanker revived that in fMRI and PET studies with the angular growth is mainly associated with the retrieval, default model network memory, semantic synthesis, semantic memory, consciousness, narrative, and so on. Third, influence students' idea choices. When students make idea choices, when their own idea belief conflict with those demanded by the teacher, students are faced with the choice of a new idea belief. Then they became obvious that is the original idea beliefs are relatively sound and are not influenced by the teacher teaching. The inference front growth of the orbit belongs to dimension 47 of the Brodmann zoning system, and the supplement I proposed that the Brodmann 47 broader activity is purely when subject appear emotion of fire, the ghost, and angel. In addition, when students make a choice of idea belief, they also perform a semantic analysis of the idea beliefs, while defining the attributes, that is, the data subtotal left clarifies the anti-inputs of the idea belief. The triangular inference front graph is part of Brodmann 45, which is mainly a semantic analysis. It is also possible that the triangular inference front graph acts as idea choice here. Neuroscience suggests that Brodmann 45 is not only semantic relevant, but is also involved in choice and task relevance. Last, influence the students' idea confirmation. In making idea choices, students exert attention to make aligning, orienting, and exhaustive. A study by Jeff identified that frontal central growth and the confluence of dorsal and epidermal attention networks perceived attention as a multi-network system consisting mainly of an acting network, an orienting network, and exhaustive control network. The RT network is responsible for maintaining state of wakefulness and alertness so that the individual is already to respond accordingly. The RT network is responsible for stimulus selection, which records the selection of the relevant information from a wide range of stimuli. When students make ideal choices, they remobilize the sensory system and reconfirm their ideal beliefs. The prohernal context is part of the conception lobe and is mainly associated with vision. Finally, the confirmation idea is also mediated by cognitive value judgment. Activation of the left dorsolated superior frontal growth is evident. Xinhua He noted that the left dorsolated prefrontal cortex, a brain region that is very relevant to value judgment in decision making, modulate information security decisions, and reducing the foundation of this region will make information security by decision less appealing. Thus reduce the attitude and intention, and ultimately reduce people's information security breaches. This is a summary. In terms of the whole structure equation model, the truth and the conflict of ideas are formed by idea cognition, and after the idea conflict, and the truth of ideas is also influenced by the final confirmation of ideas. But in the traditional teaching mode, after the teacher's teaching, although there is a certain influence on the formation of students' possible good idea beliefs, but this influence is small, and the formation of students' belief about good ideas is still based on their own cognition. The form of students' idea belief is still based on their own perception, attention, emotion, and so on. And the original idea belief are more stable and don't change significantly after the teaching. That's all my topic. I will introduce our team. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Yang Long from the University of Electronic Science and Technology, and the topic of my talk today is correctly criticize the ever-casting so idea of sensitive knowledge, West criticism against the casting mechanism. The first part of my report is the background. Thanks to the development of cognitive neuroscience, we hope to investigate the neural mechanism behind this discovery and provide scientific empirical support for this discovery. With the help of research tools and the methods of cognitive neuroscience. But why? So the second part of my report is purpose. Based on our findings in teaching college students areas, we have studied the reasons why college students unconsciously resistant possibly unpleasant areas in the practice of education teaching method. The third part of my report is method. First, we designed the statement scale of possibly unpleasant areas based on the definition of areas in the teaching materials. Second, we recruited a certain number of experiment subjects who learned areas by connected with the education teaching method. Finally, we made an experiment in inquiring about college students' consciously resistance to possibility unpleasant areas, and implemented this experiment using fMRI to obtain the experimental data. The first part of my report is results. We processed the data based on the data obtained in the experiment using software such as SPNH, and after further p-value correction, obtained the results of the activated brain areas, where consciously distanced psychology students may not be visible as well as the spreading value and the p-value table. The table 1 is about may not be beautiful audio. The big one is about 3D value of activate the brain regions. And the big 2 is about the p-value table for activated brain regions. Oh, sorry. Based on the above brain area activities results, we believe that these brain areas are important brain areas in the process of subjective thinking about and consciously resisting potentially unpleasant audio programs. These brain areas are involved in important cognitive functions such as information reception, storage, and memory and processing, language comprehension, and creative idea generation, and play a fundamental role in process of consciously resisting the possible and viable idea. The fifth part of my report is discussion. In order to further demonstrate our theory that the educational teaching method plays an important role in the conscious resistance of college students to possibility of unpleasant ideas. We investigated the intrinsic connections between the activated brain blocks in this experiment to obtain information about the brain mechanism of college students' consciously resistance to possibly unpleasant ideas. For this purpose, we extracted the signal data beta values of the activated brain blocks in the experiment and use the processing software such as SPSS and ListRel software to finally obtain the unstructured equation model of the speech of every casting soul of college students who consciously resistant possibly unplanned ideas. The type 1 is extraction of beta waves from brain regions. The big 3 is modeling structure equation. The table 3 is collapse casting through ideas casting structure equation model variables. Through the structure equation model, we can find that the pace on consciousness of sensory awareness nonetheless and the intellectual bench nonetheless with replacement awareness has to still indicate a strong collection mechanism. The figure stories the mechanism of individual awareness, widespreadism, and really playing against the casting corners of the collector casting area. Step 1 based on the curve. based on the structural literacy, most of college students consistently sense of ideal pragmatism of wrong trusting of those that may not be good. We construct a diagram of the mechanism of sensitive awareness, intellectual criticism, and the repression against the idea of practical criticism of wrong casting of those of college students consciously resisting the idea that may not be good. Based on the BrainMechanisms model in Nice Atlas. The last part of my talk is concluding. The present study shows that the brain mechanism that college students consciously resist the possible unpleasant areas are sensitive awareness of laziness, intellectual criticism of laziness, and the exploration of laziness to task through. The brain regions included are the following brain areas. Concluding work 2. Based on the results of the above study, we believe that the hypothesis that the educational teaching method can help college students to establish the social development requirements and consciously resist the possible unpleasant areas involved. The ideal education of college students through the education teaching method can effectively help them to correctly understand the possible unplanned areas and establish the corresponding response brain mechanism in their minds, which would also confirmed in our experiment. Revisiting our experiments, we found that there is still room for further exploration. And for this issue, our next step will be conduct a comparative study of the problem of consciously resistance to possible unplanned areas among college students in the context of different pedagogical approaches in order to gradually deepen our understanding of this issue. This is our team. And thanks for listening.
Hello, fellow scholars. My name is Wang Chunxi from University of Electrical Science and Technology of China. I'm glad to be able to communicate with everyone. Next, I will give a detailed introduction around the topic of my speech. My topic is utopia when and romantic ideals find discernment mechanism. First, about the preface. Ideal and belief education is the key cause for implementing the fundamental task of moral education in higher education, and it is the course learning context that must be set according to the national requirements. Ideals are the aspiration and the pursuits of people for the future development of society and themselves, which are formed in practice and have the possibility of realization among the countless capacities of human brain. Ideal capacity is the core capacity of human brain, which governs the economic, political, social, moral life, and other aspects of human ideology. The education of ideals and beliefs is the core context of ideology and practical education teaching. To help people form a scientific consciousness of social ideals, ideological and political education must master the BrainMechanisms of ideas and implement education. Based on this brain mechanism, the human brain has 4 brain regions: frontal level, parietal level, temporal level, and occipital level. Before the implementation of scientific education of social ideals, scholars of the human brain are in a primitive and spontaneous state of ambiguity regarding ideals consciousness, which is the core context of this study. And the research has shown that the brain mechanism of understanding the utopia romantic ideal figure out the utopia romantic ideal and tagging with the utopia romantic ideal is a fine one. The second, extract the brain regions for understanding, speculating, and integrating the 5 discrimination mechanism of the utopia romantic idea in the control group in 2017. The activation of brain regions with electric works greater than 20 is shown in the following table. The 2017 control group appear well the romantic idea understanding, speculation, and entanglement of structure equation models of 5 discriminatory mechanisms. Based on the activity brain aware, we made the corresponding structure equation. The structure equation directly presents a network of knowing, feeling, meaning, believing, and acting brain aware of the impossible good dimensions as shown above. The experiment subjects in this control group were basically favorable to social ideal belief. The brain mechanism of their scientific social ideal belief formation is the emotion gestation process of ideal determination, ideal cognition, competition between different ideals, choose between different ideas, and finally selected ideals. It can also be said that under the influence of the ideology and political work of the school, the scientific social ideal belief of the control group, college students can go to the state of emotion, that is, emotionally identity, according to the process of establishing knowledge, emotion, intention, belief, and action. But in the end, it cannot be implemented to the level of action allows a novel psychological development. Especially, it also lacks the consolidation of the state of will and belief formation. The following analysis of the specific understanding of autoromantic idea, speculation of the autoromantic idea, and entanglement in the autoromantic idea, BrainMechanism is carried out. The first one, understanding the autoromantic idea. When college students in the control group faced with a test, whether they had received the course instruction or not, they first processed and understood the context of the skill linguistical and semantically, even including the visual context. They were involved in the activity, which is the first step in the operation of the brain mechanism, that is, preliminary understanding, and didn't have deep parsing and parsing. Understanding the utopian romantic idea was positively correctly with three there. The stages are, and the perennial cortex, which are three pre-layers whose functions are related to language and sensation, indicating the source of knowledge of the idea in this group of subjects was mainly related to the linguistic, visual, and memory function of the brain. The sense is mainly responsible for language, intellectual, and communication-related function is located between the Taylor skill and the parietal optical cycle, and is involved in person memory learning during washer particle as well as brain panic mechanism. Among other functions, the associated with the visual and sensory function, the Taylor figures from the peripheral temporal optical radiation damage to the perennial cortex has an impact on visual cognition, and when the activity of visual cortex is abnormal, it is accompanied by a reduction in the function connectivity of higher connectivity contracts. In terms of connective function, the prefrontal cortex is involved in the visual processing of the brain, which also involves the extraction of object of recognition in the cognitive processing of the brain. The second, speculating on the utopic romantic ideals. Using emotion reports to guide behavior and cultural emotion in different social contexts. The medical objectal frontal gyrus is the main neural mechanism for emotion production in humans. Other brain procedures associated with emotion include the anterior cingulate cortex. The frontal cortex is also associated with the production of emotions such as pleasure, embarrassment, anger, and sadness. In summary, its function is to use our emotion response to guide our behavior and to counter the one set of emotions in different social contexts. The medial superior frontal teres, on the other hand, is associated with cognitive neuromechanism of unconscious error perception for language processing and has some connection to cognitive function. After the counter group college students were exposed to the text cortex, they thought about the connect, discriminated, persist the semantic meaning, and mixed with rich emotion and emotion for processing, and detailed speculation and study. And the brain area associated with this were up to medial frontal teres L, medial superior frontal teres L, and broad area 18L, and showed persistive correlation with optic medial frontal teres and medial super frontal teres L, and showed a negative correlation with PPT 做的。The third, 一个 tag element of arithmetic ideas, 一个 tag element of romantic ideas is persistively correctly with three brain regions: the angular teres, the middle front teres, and the inferior parietal teres. The angular teres itself is associated with linguistic function. Involves the encoding of numerical language in computation, and has been shown to be activated in problems of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division in the angular teres. At the retrieval of arithmetic facts stored in verbal memory, the frontal medial teres, on the other hand, is primarily responsible for language related memory processing and attention processing. For example, in Chinese word form, word sound, and word meaning person, left front teres was significantly activated in all three processes. The front teres also function in contextual memory retrieval. A reduction in frontal middle tereal volume has been found to be associated with defect in the retrieval of contextual details in elder adults' contextual memory. The possibility and that the process of entangling the utopic romantic ideal may trigger contextual memory, which in turn activities of photomiddle gyrus as well as angular gyrus associated with variable memory proceeding. Also further raise the possibility of concomitant memory processing during entanglement of the utopic romantic ideal. A conclusion from the utopia romantic idea, 2017 counter group posed the test impossibility of godliness dimension in terms of favorable attitude. It can be found that since the experimental subjects didn't undergo relevant ideological and practical education about ideal beliefs before the post-test. Their perception about the idea issues were formed spontaneously and would also evolve the process form. Understanding the utopian romantic idea, speculating on the utopian romantic idea, and the development of the utopic romantic idea from the cognition to judgment involved in memory extraction and trigger memory by recalling the details of the situation. In other words,